she wants to know why she's given half her life to people she hates now. Stephanie says, when answering the phone, what country shall I say is calling from across the world?
And welcome again to another episode of Real Talk on 92.5 WLSD The Vault. On a little bit late tonight, but that's okay. A great a great show is in store for everyone tonight. Now, we're going to be talking about the Wes Anderson movie called Asteroid City. But before we get involved in that, you can go to all of our Facebook and Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. That's all of our social medias. Please go there. Please check that out. And we're looking forward to hearing everyone's ideas and thoughts on the show. Now, if you know, we do the show Real Talk. Every week we come with a brand new episode. We come with a brand new movie that we want to discuss, and we want to kind of give our opinion and present it to the public, which is what we do on this show. So if you want to follow along and you want to watch the live video, please do that. We're live on YouTube now. We're live on Facebook, and we're live on the Other People Show Facebook also, as well as 92.5 WLSD The Vault's Facebook page. So we are very excited to be on all those places. And we're going to bring you the best show around about movies. Now, I don't know if you all know, but I'm a big, huge Wes Anderson fan. Wes Anderson, he came around in the mid-90s to critical acclaim. So we're going to discuss his what you would say his most recent film, and it's still playing in cinemas right now. It is called Asteroid City. So let's talk a little bit about that. So following a writer on his world-famous fictional play about a grieving father who travels with his tech-obsessed family to a small town called Asteroid City to complete in a junior stargazing event, only to have his worldview disrupted forever. So that's kind of the basis of this film. It's got a great cast. Now, as with all Wes Anderson movies, he is able to attract who's who of Hollywood actors and actresses, and this movie is no different. We've got Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Bryan Cranston, Liv Schreiber, Hope Davis, Stephen Park, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, and many, many more, just to name a few. And his movies are kind of always an ensemble, so to speak. And I know that his movies aren't really the kind of movie that are for everyone. And this is no different. This is a movie that you're either going to really like this movie or you're not going to like it at all. So, like I said, this was directed by Wes Anderson. If you know any of Wes Anderson's other movies, he's got Bottle Rocket in 1996, Rushmore, 1998, The Royal Tenenbaums in 2001. We've got The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, 2004, The Darjeeling Limited, 2007, Fantastic Mr. Fox, 2009, Moonrise Kingdom in 2012, The Grand Budapest Hotel in 2014, Isle of Dogs, 2018, The French Dispatch in 2021, and that brings us to the present, Asteroid City in 2023. Now, I was thinking about, maybe ranking, that's a water bottle, if you can't tell. It gets kind of hot in here in your mouth. It gets a little bit dry, doing this type of a show. But I thought about ranking the Wes Anderson movies in the way that I see fit. But I really can't do that 100% because I've not seen every Wes Anderson movie that's been made. You could be saying, Well, how do you call yourself a fan if you don't know all of his movies? Now, I do know all of the movies, but I don't know every single movie that he has made as far as watching it. There was a couple with a stop motion animation, I guess, and that was the Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs. I haven't seen those two movies, but everyone says I should go ahead and check those out. That they're very clever, very witty, very dry. So pretty much, basically, like like the rest of Wes Anderson movies as well. And I got to say, with Wes Anderson, you can see that he's evolved as a filmmaker over time because he has a very specific aesthetic to his films that a lot of filmmakers don't have. Wes Anderson likes everything to be centered 100% in the middle of the screen. And that is kind of something that a lot of filmmakers don't do. You know, you'll notice in a lot of these other films of different filmmakers that they do the over the shoulder, they do the two shot, they do your more typical mainstream type camera movements, but you won't find those very often in Wes Anderson movies. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, if you want to get to the budget of Asteroid City is a cool $25 million. So far in America, it has made $28 million, and it's made $50.5 million worldwide. We've got a Rotten Tomatoes score of 75%, IMDb score of 6.7%, and the audience score of 62%. So this isn't, I don't want to say this is one of his lesser works, because as you could tell by just me naming off the cast of characters, is that it isn't just a secondary work. But I do feel that the cast, although good, although great in all the roles, and they do a great job, I do think there was a couple roles that were miscast. So, for example, this is the first Bill Murray movie, well, the first Wes Anderson movie since, let's see what it was from, that he hasn't been in. This is the first Bill Murray movie of Wes Anderson's that he hasn't been in, because Bill Murray originally was cast in Steve Carell's role, but he contracted the COVID-19 virus shortly before filming, and he had to withdraw from the production. So this is actually, if you think about it, if you know movies and such, this is the second time that Steve Carell has taken over a movie that was originally for Bill Murray. Bill Murray was actually the first choice of Frank in the movie Little Miss Sunshine. So if you've seen the movie Little Miss Sunshine from 2006, the role of Steve Carell, Frank, was originally for Bill Murray. Now, as far as that goes, I do think that Bill Murray was missed in this movie. Now, I think Bill Murray is a great addition to any movie that you put him in, but I do think that he would have been miscast in Steve Carell's role. I think Bill Murray would have done better in Tom Hanks's role. I like Tom Hanks. He does a good job. I can never say that Tom Hanks does a bad job or anything like that. But I do think personally, and this might be, against the grain, against most people, but I do think that Tom Hanks is a little bit of an overrated actor. Not in the sense that he does bad work, and just the fact that, everyone seems to love Tom Hanks. Everyone seems to like him in every role that he does. And I'm not saying that I'm one of those people, but just because Tom Hanks is in a movie, that doesn't make me want to go out and watch it. I do know, if Tom Hanks has done a movie, I'm like, well, this will be a quality film. He always does a great job. He seems to be a little bit picky in his roles, not as much the older that he's gotten. But I do think in this particular movie that Tom Hanks was miscast, and it should have been Bill Murray in Tom Hanks's role. So let's go on to a little more facts if you like that kind of thing. Scarlett Johansson, which is, she's beautiful as always, she had no problem. She said she had no problem using a body double to film her full frontal nude scene. But she said it was awkward for Wes Anderson to direct it. So if you've seen Asteroid City, there's a couple scenes there where her character and Jason Schwartzman's character, her character is named Midge, his name is Augie. So they're having, a conversation between one another from one house to the other, and they're pretty close, probably one window to the next, probably 5 foot away or even closer. But there is a full frontal nudity scene of Scarlett Johansson's. Briefly, I've watched this movie twice, and someone had mentioned that to me, and I said, "What? Huh? Whoa? Huh? I missed it." And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to miss that scene. Out of all scenes to miss, I didn't want to miss ScarJo, but I did miss it. And I went ahead and I rewatched the movie again, not just for this particular scene, but I did watch the movie once again, and I did catch the scene. So it's, if you want to see ScarJo there for a brief, probably 1 second, then then you can check that out. Now Montana, we've got Montana, and he's one of the characters in the movie. Montana, when he walks around, you can hear the sound of spurs, even though he's not wearing any. So that was just a kind of a cool little thought. Let's listen to this little bit of music here. See, Wes Anderson has a very eclectic style as far as music goes. Certain directors, and I hope to be one of these kind of directors in the future, but you can tell what kind of who's directing this movie, or who's directing certain movies, just from the kind of score and music that is in said movie. And Wes Anderson is one of those. He's very folksy, very minimalistic, and Asteroid City is no different. So we've got Bryan Cranston. I'm not sure if I mentioned him in the cast of characters earlier. Actually, I think I left him out. But Bryan Cranston is also in this movie. He's more of the narrator. But Bryan Cranston said of the filming of the movie was very like a family. It was a very family-oriented set. Everyone seemed to get along really well. And it was kind of like, hugs and happiness. And they would have nightly banquets. And he said he referred to this as fulfilling every actor's dream camp. So it seems like Wes Anderson's sets are some great sets to be around, fun sets to be around. But he said the filming of this movie was not easy at all, but a great experience. Now, I do know on Wes Anderson movies, Quentin Tarantino movies, Martin Scorsese movies, these kind of directors do not like their dialogue to be messed with. So when you go in to one of their movie sets to act, you better know the dialogue, because that's, Paul Thomas Anderson, he's another one. That is exactly what they want. They want the written page. They want the dialogue that they've written to be translated to screen, and that's why they have hired said actor or actress. And like I said earlier, Wes Anderson's first film not to feature Bill Murray since Bottle Rocket. And if you remember, if you do remember at all, Jake and I did Bottle Rocket, I guess about a year and a half, maybe 2 years back. I guess it was maybe 3 years back now. And I think that's the only Wes Anderson movie that we've tackled so far. And I think that's one of his best movies, Bottle Rocket. So I would definitely go check that out. I used to rent that movie, Bottle Rocket, at the Lonesome Pine Library. It was up there, and I kind of it won an award at the 1996 MTV Movie Awards, like best first feature. I never had heard of it before, but after seeing it there, I ended up checking it out, and it's become one of a staple that I listen to time and time again, or not listen to, but watch time and time again. And it is a great movie. and one of his best. So let's go ahead and get around to the plot and the story. Like I said, this is Asteroid City. So pretty much what's going on here is there's a small town. I think the population is maybe 87. It's out in the desert landscape, which I love movies that are featured out there. I love I just love that kind of landscape. I think it's very cinematic. I think you can put a camera anywhere in the desert, anywhere in New Mexico or Utah, Arizona, places like this, and I think you're going to get a very good looking film. But Wes Anderson has a great color palette. The colors in the movie are vibrant. They stick out, very noticeable. And once you've seen a Wes Anderson movie, it's not going to be mistaken for any other movie. You can definitely tell. But, as far as the story and the plot, I do think it's a pretty original story. I do think it's a pretty original plot. I don't, however, think that the plot and the story move forward quick enough. I don't think that the story propels the movie in a forward motion as quick as it should. That's my only real fault with the movie, to be honest with you. It just didn't grab me the same way. The story or the plot didn't grab me as some of the other ones. So, what can you say about that, Wes? I was a little disappointed there, buddy. I'm a little bit disappointed in that. But like I said, we've got a cast of characters, and the characters, they're very quirky. That's the thing about Wes Anderson movies. If you know anything about Wes Anderson, is that every movie in his arsenal has very quirky and interesting characters. Now, you would be so lucky or unlucky, I guess, depending on who you are and how you feel about people. But it seems like, personally, I know a couple of people in real life that could probably be characters in a Wes Anderson movie without really altering how they are at all. I would have to alter myself a little bit to fit into that mold of what he has. But there are some people in my everyday life, or, maybe not everyday life, but that I come in contact, that could easily slide into a Wes Anderson movie and not really have to do anything to, change, kind of to be that little quirky, witty, odd, awkward person. And that's the same here. I mean, Asteroid City has you got Jason Schwartzman, and I've always liked him as an actor. I always thought he did a good job. He was in a serious Steve Martin movie. I'll have to think of the name of it. I can't think of it right at the moment. But it's a Steve Martin and what's that girl's name? Claire Danes movie, and it's really good. And it's based upon a book that Steve Martin wrote. And it is called, I'm trying to think what's called. Usually I can just name all the movies left and right, but I'm drawing a blank on this Steve Martin movie. But it's really one that I think that most people haven't heard of, and I think that they should hear of. I saw it in the theater a couple times. We'll have to go in IMDb and check that out. But Jason Schwartzman, he does a really good job. In this movie, I found, and I was very curious to see what maybe Anthony thinks about this when he returns. But it was kind of like, this movie it starts off as a television production. And I thought this was kind of cool in a way, but I also thought it was a little bit of a distraction, is that it starts off as a television show. But it's a television show of a play, and the play is about a movie, is how I'm taking it. Now, I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I gathered. So it's kind of like a show, and then it goes to the stage production, and then the stage production cuts to the movie. So you kind of get a couple. Shop Girl is the name of the Steve Martin movie. It's a 2005 movie. Shop Girl, I would definitely check that out. It's a novella also by Steve Martin, and it's a very subtle kind of a, maybe a romantic drama starring Steve Martin, Claire Danes, and Jason Schwartzman. So I would definitely check that out if you've not done that. Shop Girl. Go check that out. But as far as the, characters go, it's rich in characters. But I got to be honest with you, there's not any particular character that really stands out to me that makes me say, there wasn't really anyone to identify with. There's not really like the quote unquote straight person, straight, like, you got the comedic and then you've got the straight person that, all the things happen to. And you don't really have that in this kind of a movie. The jokes are very subtle. They're very minimalistic. They're very dry, but there are some wit in there, and there are some really good. I think there's some really good music in there. I really do. Fats Domino, I'm walking, but none of the characters, all the characters are very cool, very likable. I think. There's a couple that aren't. I didn't really care for Tom Hanks's character. Stanley Zach is Tom Hanks's character. Like I said, I think that would have been better served had it been Bill Murray. Is really what I think, to be honest with you, 100%. So let's get on to the favorite scene or the least favorite scene. Now, like I said, this is a movie that it all takes place in Asteroid City, a town of population, I think, of 87 or 89. And so, some people go there. They're doing this kind of a stargazing event that's happening in this town. A UFO happens to come down, and the people that are there for the stargazing event are pretty much going to be quarantined and unable to leave due to the spaceship coming down and getting. I think it gets a meteor. And what's kind of cool and kind of cheesy both, I guess you could say, is that the stargazing event has, or with the alien spacecraft, when it comes down, it's not like your typical alien spacecraft. It's got like a green glow to it. It kind of looks like something. It's kind of got that green glow of something that the Green Goblin threw in the first Spider-Man. I think he throws some kind of bombs or something, and it gives off like a green-looking glow. But that's kind of the green glow that this spacecraft gives off as it's coming down. And then as the alien's coming down, the alien is a little kind of almost like a stop motion character. It's almost like if you've ever seen Life Aquatic, there's a couple of scenes where Bill Murray and his crew, they're in the water and they're looking for the jaguar shark, the tiger shark that killed his friend Esteban. He killed my friend Esteban. And that's kind of in Life Aquatic, the fish in there are kind of like stop animation fish. And that's kind of the same thing with the alien in this movie. So the alien comes down, picks up the meteor and leaves. So everyone there's quarantined for a little while. Then it cuts back, though, and you find out that the alien is played by none other than Wes Anderson favorite, Jeff Goldblum. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Jeff Goldblum. Now, I know Jeff Goldblum is, I think he might be at National Treasure kind of a way. Because, he seems to be beloved by everyone. He's always doing his hands and moving and it's just like that. And he's got the glasses, and he actually plays. He has a CD out, Jeff Goldblum music. Did anyone know that? I bet they didn't. Because this is a very, he plays jazz. He plays piano. And he plays in the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra. Let's hear a little bit of Jeff Goldblum, see how he stacks up. Because I've always kind of wanted to see Jeff Goldblum live. So I think it would be a fun experience. I think that he would dazzle the audience. I see him as being someone that could capture the audience and really get them engaged in his songs. So let's hear a little bit of Jeff Goldblum. Fun experience. That's is what we want to try to do here. If we can do that, let's see if we can do that right here. Got a couple different things going on at the moment. And let's see what we got. Now, I was hoping Mr. Goldblum would sing during the song, but maybe he's just playing the piano. But he's got a good sound. He's got that slick silver fox hair, the black rimmed glasses. That's who I aspire to be when I'm older. Jeff Goldblum. Now, I think if Jeff Goldblum played a little song in this movie as the alien, it would have been a little bit better. Oh, yeah. Let's get down to the jazz. Oh, yeah. Woo! That's something. If anybody wants to get me Jeff Goldblum in the Mildred Snitzer Orchestra, you can please do that. I would definitely go with you if you want to go. I don't mind to do that at all. But as far as the favorite scene, that scene might be one of my favorites in the movie, where the alien is coming down a little bit. It's kind of a cool aesthetic compared to the rest of them. I mean, the whole movie it looks beautiful. I cannot deny that it's a beautiful looking movie. The colors, like I said earlier, they're vibrant. And but it looks like a movie. Like there's no mistaking at all that this is a movie. It isn't a movie. There's another scene in there where, like I mentioned before, it's got Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson. And Scarlett Johansson's character is an actress, and she's wanting Mr. Schwartzman to do a monologue with her, or I guess read lines, some dialogue with her. And there's some witty banter and dialogue that goes on between them, and that's kind of one of my favorite scenes. Obviously, you've got the full frontal scene, which you can't go wrong with that. That's for half a second, so that's a good scene. But as far as that goes, I don't. In most other Wes Anderson movies, I can pinpoint a scene that I really, truly like 100%. And I can't really say that this is a movie that I could pick a scene out and say, if you want to know what this movie is, go watch this particular scene. I wish I could do that, but I really can't do that. So really, if you wanted to get, there's some movie trailers that are out there. They'll give away the complete movie. So I wouldn't recommend, certain movie trailers to see because it's just like, Act 1, 2, and 3, except condensed down for a movie trailer. This trailer, though, for Asteroid City, it's one that you should check out. If you like the trailer, it looks interesting. I think you'll like the movie, or maybe not like the movie, but you'll like to check the movie out. If the trailer doesn't look interesting to you, then I wouldn't go ahead and spend, an hour and a half, actually, I think an hour and 40 minutes on this one. But the score and the music, like I said earlier, there's minimalistic movie score. If you like other Wes Anderson movies, then you're going to enjoy the soundtrack and the score in this one. If you don't, then you might not. So let's see if we can find a couple little songs here that would kind of turn you on to some of the music from Asteroid City. It's very folksy a lot of the time, especially in this movie. And there's a couple times, at least once that I can think of, where they do break out into like a little song and a dance, which is kind of cool. I didn't mind it. It kind of broke up things a little bit, but let's see.
Last train to San Fernando. Last train to San Fernando. If you miss this one, you'll never get another one. Bee-dee-dee-dee-bum-bum to San Fernando.
Now, Robert, he's saying that he thinks that Scarlett Johansson gave one of the most wonderful performances in the movie, and sometimes he said he thinks that she's overshadowed because of her beauty, and I would agree with that. In this movie, she's dark-headed. I think she works best. Well, not works, but I think, and I'm not really into blondes, but I think the natural blonde hair fits her better. But I do agree with Robert that she does give a good performance. And her and Jason Schwartzman talking with one another is part of one of the highlights of the movie. But you can kind of hear a little bit of the soundtrack here. It's kind of fun. Dance in your car. Only if you're parked, though.
Last train to San Fernando. Last train to San Fernando. If you miss this one, you'll never get another one. Bee-dee-dee-dee-bum-bum to San Fernando. Well, I'm married in too high society. Be careful of the place you're
So yeah, if you like that kind of quirky sound songs, you'll like the movie, or like the soundtrack. I think it's fun. I do think the soundtrack and the soundtrack to most Wes Anderson movies, very eclectic, very folksy, very minimalistic. This movie takes place in the 50s, and that was Johnny Duncan and the Bluegrass Boys' last train to San Fernando. So it's kind of got that little vibe to it, the folksy vibe from the mid 50s, early 60s kind of a thing, and I think it fits the movie well. I think Wes Anderson does score movies well. He knows when to put in music, and as we've discussed on this show, many times, you've got to have a good score. You've got to have good music, because if you have a good movie or even a great movie, the score can actually bring the movie down if it doesn't live up to the movie. And, it's another piece of the puzzle. Here's one of the songs from the movie, actually.
Don't we know you ain't our brother or your friend or foe? Papa wants to skip on to dance, face with hackney.
Now that song's actually sang in the actual movie. They're talking and they kind of just break out into song, and it doesn't really, I guess, make a lot of sense just talking about it briefly on the show like this. But it's I guess it's 2/3 of the way into the movie, and that's kind of if you can understand and get the vibe of the movie from what I'm giving you out, you can kind of dictate whether you think you're going to like it or this is not a movie for you. So, originality, I would say this is a very original movie. Wes Anderson movies, I can never say that they're cookie cutter movies. They're always very original. They're always very fun. They're quirky. They have a eclectic group of characters always. So that's never up for debate. And the originality of this movie is not up for debate either. So it falls pretty much right in line with the rest. I mean, we've got, 11 movies in, and he's not really disappointed as far as the musical score or anything like that goes, in originality. I mean, every single movie that he has dealt with is very original. So originality in this movie is no exception also. The poster. Now, I do want to, you can look up Asteroid City. There's a couple different posters out there. There's the one sheet that has some characters on it, and then there's some of the actual city. You've got the asteroid, like the crater in the ground. That's kind of a cool poster. Very minimalistic, just like all of other Wes Anderson movies. You've got the cast, in the top right-hand corner. There's about 10 or 12 cast members there. They're highlighted in black lettering, and then you've got a very bright and vibrant poster. And, if you have Wes Anderson posters in your room or in your house framed, this would make a great addition to those. I don't think it's his best poster, but I think it does sum up the movie pretty well. And I think it sums up the movie as well also. Let's see. Would I recommend this movie or not? That's a little bit of a little question that I'm not 100% sure on. I purchased this movie a couple days ago, maybe Monday. I went ahead and bought the Blu-ray because it has a lot of the special features, which I haven't got to watch yet. But I will give this movie another go around. It's one of those movies to me. It's on the first two viewings. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson movie. Do I dislike it? No, because I'm going to watch it again. Probably tonight after the show, I'll probably go back and give it another, at least some scenes, another watch. But would I say this would be, if you've never watched a Wes Anderson movie, I don't think this would be the movie that I would start you out on. Because I think if you're like, let me give you a little bit of a scenario here. So my friend Talitha and I, this is back in 2001, back when I was, in a little bassinet. Just kidding. It was in 2001, and we're living in Northern Virginia, and up there the theaters and often bigger cities, especially then, you're able to be subjected to movies that you're not always subjected to in a smaller region. Now we can do it obviously with streaming and Fire Stick and all that kind of thing. But at the time, if you didn't see some of these movies in the theaters in the city, you would have to wait a couple of months for them to come out on DVD or come to a movie channel or something like that. So Talitha and I went to watch the movie called The Royal Tenenbaums. And The Royal Tenenbaums is I guess that would be that is Wes Anderson's second highest grossing movie, meaning making money, after I think the Grand Budapest Hotel. Now, Talitha had told me that she thought The Royal Tenenbaums was awful. She said it was boring. She didn't like it. And I could see that. I could understand why someone wouldn't like it. It's told more in like a novel. The chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Alec Baldwin is the kind of the narrator. But I would say that would be one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies. But I would not start someone out with that. Chapter 1. How it all began. if I were going to start you off on a Wes Anderson movie, I think that I would take you and say, just go ahead and start off with the very first one, Bottle Rocket. It's got Owen Wilson. It's got Luke Wilson. And I'm trying to think. It's got the guy that plays in Misery. His name eludes me right now. But I would definitely check out Bottle Rocket. I think, I've looked at a lot of lists ranking Wes Anderson movies, and Bottle Rocket seems to be 5 or lower on the list. I guess because it doesn't deal with some of the complex issues that some of his later movies do. But I do think that Bottle Rocket is it's fast paced. It's got some great characters to it. It's very original. And if I were to make, if my masterpiece would be, if I were to make Bottle Rocket, and it happened to be the masterpiece that I made out of all the films that I make, it would be a proud moment. I would go Darjeeling Limited. I actually went to a screening one time up in Arlington. It was a screening of 300 people. And it was before the movie was released to the public. So, everyone had to stand out in line, and it was really cool. It's always fun to me to go to preview screenings of movies that are up and coming, especially when it's a movie like this, because when you go to movies, often, not always, but when you go to these kind of movies, like special screenings of things, these are for movie lovers. And chances are you're going to be there with someone else that loves movies, like I do. Like, I truly do enjoy movies, and I don't just enjoy them as a time waster, because that's one thing that I don't like to do with my time. Time is something we can never, ever get back, so I want to try to utilize every moment of time available. And whenever I'm watching a movie, I don't want it to be a movie that I'm actually just trying to plow through to get through. I want to enjoy it. I want to absorb it. I want to learn about the score. I want to learn about the actors. I want to learn everything that I can about the movie, especially when doing a movie review show such as this. But even before that, I've always enjoyed it. So I would go, if you're going to check out the top 3 Wes Anderson movies right off the bat, I would say the top 4, well, top 5, I would say Bottle Rocket. You've got the Darjeeling Limited, Life Aquatic, Rushmore, and the Royal Tenenbaums. Is that 5? That's what I would do. No particular order. No particular order at all. But I don't know how easy some of those are to find. Bottle Rocket, I've had that for a long time. I actually bought Bottle Rocket on VHS from a rental store back in probably 2001. Often I would go to some of the video stores and such, and if I couldn't find the movie that I wanted, because I didn't used to release every single film, I would just go ahead and just ask, "Hey, can I buy this?" And often they would let me, and sometimes they wouldn't. But Bottle Rocket was one of the movies where they went ahead and let me buy it. But yeah, that's the quick 45-minute review of Asteroid City. I feel like I've jumped around a little bit. It's been a while since I've done a show like this alone. So, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for bearing with me. But Asteroid City, I wouldn't go out and purchase the movie if you've never seen a Wes Anderson movie. I would warm up to some of his other movies first. But this is I think this might be one that grows on you. And I'm going to check it out once again for the 3rd time and see what I think about it. Next week, I'm not sure what movie we're going to do. I'm going to suggest the Adam Sandler movie, Punch Drunk Love. It's also a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. So, it's an Adam Sandler movie without being a Adam Sandler movie, because he's not your typical Adam Sandler character in this movie. But anyway, I'm Adam. We're Real Talk. And please visit the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People's Show. And stick around. The Other People's Show will be on in just a moment on 92.5 WLSD, The Vault.